We are going live for the Lupit Poll Instagram live interviews with Tati Blue today. Heels, edgework, amazing dancer, and I cannot wait to speak to her. My name is Sergia Louise, the creator of the Beginner Pole Dancer Summit, the Pole Dance Foundation's online program, and the pole routine concept creator, as well as the founder of the Vertitude Dance Studios. And let's get started. I see Tati just popped in here. Bring her on. Tati started has a background in gymnastics and contemporary dance, and really found an affinity for a very specific heel style. Tati, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. Thank you. How are
I'm
you?
good. Thank you so much for meeting us. We all want to know your story. I mean, you came from a background in gymnastics and contemporary dance, and then tell me about the story of finding this heels edge flow kind of world for you.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I started first with gymnastics and then also as other dance parts came into my journey. And for me, it was like I always wanted to combine sports and dance. And when I moved to Berlin, it was finally time for me because I couldn't find it where coming from in Germany, but in Berlin, I was like, I'm for sure I will find some pole dance here. So I started. My first teacher was a stripper. Her energy was so amazing. I felt in love. So I was like, okay, now I'm stuck. And then after a few years, also explored the heels pole dance. And actually, first I started with hardstyle. For such a long time, I was hardstyle dancer in heels. I think this comes from my gymnastic background because for me it's really easy to flip around, to jump, like to do handstands and all the more dynamic things. And then I think during the lockdown, I had more time to play, to explore, and explored more the old school style. And I was like, oh, actually, I like that. um, and with the edge work, this came accidentally into my style, I would say, because as my contemporary dance background, they're so normal to flex the feet and using the feet for expression. So that's why in my stage pieces, then I just put in flex feet. And I was like, oh yeah, why not? It's nice. But then I noticed, oh, it's actually a thing. You can do something with your heels. You can dance on the edges. And this is how it became a thing for me. And then I also explored there's a word for it. Sorry. And I found one, two other dancers and also did my research because also in strip clubs is a thing of integrating it into your dance to highlight your shoes, but also to dance different to the beautiful heels pole dancer.
Yeah. I I love that. It's such a cool, interesting journey to follow through. And starting out with pole, I imagine you started like everyone else in pole, where you kind of found those tricks and then you kind of just whittled down your style and what kind of felt good. But
Exactly.
for those people who are kind of newer to pole, I would love to hear, in your own words, these styles that we now talk about, these different heel styles, different, pole styles. I'd love to hear in your own words, like what to you was hard style, what to you was like classic OG stripper style, and what to you is the definition of heels edge work. I know that's a really big question, but because you're so in it right now and you've got that, I would love to know like what the definition is of those things from your perspective.
Totally. For me, hard style is more when you're moving pretty fast, when you have lots of speedy turns into it, also lots of kips and drops, and where you kind of more cool dancing, usually in boots or long pants, and yeah, also putting some like flips into it and handstand stuff, and being way more dynamic and harsh in your movement, also smaller movement. And when about the OG stripper style, there's this definitely with lots of touch, lots of tease. Super often they don't do much, but they have such a big energy with just doing nothing and just working with the gaze and with body waves and working really like slow and sensual and really, yeah, focusing on the body parts and taking time. And the edge work for me definitely is the focus on the edges, on your heels, and dancing with all different parts of your shoe and exploring that, play with your edges, bring them into really different shape, unique shapes, but also for some people maybe ugly shapes or weird shapes, because this is also like some people they really do like edgework, but some people are still like, oh no, I can't see it. Why are you flexing your feet? Why you do that? So when we're talking about edgework, when you have the shoe, you're working over the outside edge, which is a single inside edge with the wing demi point position, but also then flexing where you're having the weight more to the stiletto tip.
Got it. Now, what would you, if you were to name what you, I mean, and it changes, as we know, as pole dancers, the style, your own personal style kind of like evolves over time. What would you say, how would you define your particular style that you are loving and really getting juicy with right now? Like it right now in your career?
Slinky edgework style.
Love it. Cool, cool. Okay, so tell me kind of where you see yourself with all of this in, down the road, 5 years, 10 years, because, as you know, your style has evolved from point A to now. So where do you find yourself starting to get really interested or really nerdy with as you move forward?
Um, yeah, I'm always getting really nerdy when I'm thinking about concepts for my students, because edgework in general is really hard to understand from the body, but also as a brain-body connection. And for me, I'm getting always really nerdy when I'm thinking about how do I describe the things, how can I break it down to the technique that people are understanding it. But then also the second part for me is also which I see myself diving more into the next few years is definitely more the exploration part, because I also find it really important that people that I create this space for people to play and to find their own style with the tools I give them. So these are definitely things I'm always really like specific about, and try to read the room, the energy in the room, what I can give the people, what they need at the moment, and how can I challenge them. So this is for sure. But of course, I like when I'm thinking about myself as an instructor and my career as a pole performer, also I wish to perform a little bit more. This would be such an amazing thing as well as like traveling, but this I already do, but I don't want that this is stopping. So traveling, teaching lots of workshops, learning all about the different cultures and people around the world, and yeah, delivering my passion for slinky heels and edgework with other dancers everywhere. Yeah, but every time I'm preparing like a showpiece, this is always such a journey, because first of all, it's super stressful, but secondly, it is in crazy how much progress you're doing during that time, and how much you can refine the things you already reached and change them in different ways.
Yes, yeah. I know. I think it's always a really fortunate, I feel, for the pole community because it's not always that incredible dancers and performers also have this drive and need and want to share and break down and teach. So it's just a wonderful kismet when both of those things happen in like someone. So that's very exciting that you seem to have just as much passion for sharing and breaking down and really truly understanding the techniques as you do for dancing them yourself. So that's exciting. Everyone, make note of that because those are the teachers you want to hang out with.
That's true. And also like which is always on my vision board is to create a, maybe it's a competition, but maybe it's more a pole show where you combine different influences and just building a big piece. Like I'm really a big fan of this Rise and Shine show. I think is it from LA, right? Like this kind of scenario type. I'm always dreaming about that. I started to prep that, but then COVID happened and I've never picked it up back up. But I'm like, I still feel it's so nice to have more of this, more opportunities for everyone to go on stage to create one big masterpiece together.
Well, that is awesome. Yeah, it is always such a treat because we're used to dancing so often as solo dancers, right? As polars. And yeah, when you do get to be a part of a big production of polars, like and a collaboration of several people on stage at once and a collaboration of the minds and choreography, that can be really special stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hope you get that opportunity really soon. Um, all right, so I wanted to make a point of asking you, and I made sure that you knew this question was coming because these are big questions, and when I always get asked these kind of things on the spot, I'm always like, "Whoa, big question." so many answers. How much time do we have? But I wanted to just really briefly talk about if you were to kind of break down heels edge work right now and say to your students, okay, here are 3 skills or patterns or techniques, very simple skills, pattern, or techniques that we use over and over again in the kind of, heels work, slinky, edge work stuff that I'm doing these days. If you were to say, okay, the first 3 moves I want you to master,
Mhm.
what would you be talking about?
I think it's super often that people thinking that they need to know something about edgework when they're starting edgework, but I think number one is heels experience. So you need to know what your heels are doing for you, and you need to thinking about them, because this is like the priority number one. If you want to make sure you can dance on your heels and you can maybe do a pirouette on both sides. So these are like, because the pirouette brings always what we need. It has lots of weight transfer, and this is another thing. Edgework is all about weight transfer. You do not need to be super strong in your upper body, but you need to transfer your weight from one side to the other side. If you want to go to the more advanced edgework, then it's of course also the strong upper body, because strong upper body protects you with doing all the magic down with your feet. But yeah, here's experience. Then the weight transfer, which comes with also strong ankles, are really helpful when it comes to edge work. And then I think also another third point for me is to be open to it, to be open to play with your ankles, and to be open for going into weird shapes you may be finding really complicated because your brain tells it's wrong. Because sometimes it takes really long time to understand what's going down in the feet. You're looking at your feet, you're telling them flex, but they're not doing it. And also what you can often see when people are doing edge work, that the hands are working. So when they, for example, do something with the left foot, the right hand is doing stuff like funny shapes.
Or the eyebrow.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, especially also when I do my warming up things, this is also an important part. I think I have these exercises with the feet to strengthen them, where you're going into like flex, and then you point into demi point, and then full point, curl, and flex. And this is also really helpful for to preparing for edge work. But then people also like tending to do this with their hands because they're so focused on the feet.
Yes, those isolations and asking your body to do something new. I know I have so much fun getting inspired by all you edgework queens, and I know that over and over again, the pattern. And again, my background is also contemporary dance and also ballroom and stuff like that. But the pattern of the flex and the point, no problem. Bevel, no problem. Ballroom, got that sickle. Woo! It's a retrain of the brain. Train of the brain. My body is like, wait, you asked me to do something else for 30 years. Now what are you trying to do to me? So I actually, that's one of my favorite things about it, is I'm like, wow, I get to be a complete beginner at
Yeah,
this. And that is a lovely place to be when it comes to movement, like to
yeah.
be able to embrace that. And the other thing that I notice about edge work that is, at like that point that you made with that upper body strength, is that I feel, a lot of people talk about, oh, well, tricks, 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 take all this strength, I'll take all this mobility and flexibility and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just amazed at, with the edge work, how much upper body there really is, because you need to be able to pull up off of the weight of your feet and really allow so much to happen down there. So I mean, it's very trick oriented. I feel like it's almost such an incredible conditioning for up the pole work, because you're getting all of those trick positions
Mhm.
already down on the floor. So
Yeah, that's true. You're spending lots of time with pull up and split grip lifts and all the things, for sure. And also with the sickle, this is an interesting thing, because when I've done gymnastics, I always had the problem that my teachers were saying, "Oh, don't sickle your feet." So for me, it comes kind of naturally that I sickle my feet. I was like, "Oh, finally, I found something which comes nice to my body and just feels natural." And also, like for edge work, internal and external hip rotation is also a key point, because you need to understand that super often your foot is the final response of what you do with your hips.
that's right. That's right. The foot is kind of like this extension to dramatize what is already happening in the hip, and then the torso can move
Mm-hmm.
extra hip looking mobility. And then you have the foot on top of that. And now you have this really interesting dramatic line. Such a good
Yeah.
point. Love that. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you do quite a bit. I know you're doing a lot of traveling and teaching right now as well, but I know you do quite a bit of online
Mhm.
instruction. Can you tell us where to find you and how people can continue to train with you and learn your amazing way?
Yes. Totally. So that's a good thing because I'm just at the moment I'm promoting my mentorship, Edgework Artistry, but it's level 2. So for everyone who already can do pirouettes and can lifting themselves off the floor, then you're advanced enough, then you can join. Maybe a little bit of Edgework experience is helpful, but this is more for the advanced dancers of us, and this starts on October 30th, and it's a 4-week program where you also get lots of tutorials and strengthen and conditioning exercises and movement collections, and everything is break down in a good structure. And you will find a link in my bio, but also over in the pole dance. And also the other thing, in October I'm also teaching online in the online studio. They have a weekly class, and it's a slinky thread class where we're working through different slinky sequences every week. And so these are the 2 online things which are going on at the moment. But if you're a heels beginner, never wore the heels or just started, there's also a beginner heels course. It's the Heels Goddess online course, and this is a course where you can also use the code Tati Love, and then you get $20 off. So that's on the $79, yeah, 79. 97, sorry, these numbers always, there's the other way around in English than in German, so 79, yeah, dollars to get this course. If you never dance in heels, you also find that link in my bio about this course, and it's a online course, pre-recorded. Do it in your own pace. Whenever you're ready, you can start. And yeah, I think these are the 3 online things which are going on at the moment. Yeah.
I love that. So what, no matter what level you are starting out, the Tati has got some offerings for each one of those levels. Well, thank you so much. I cannot wait to see what you do next. And I can't wait to see you on stage in your next performance.
Yeah, it's on Saturday actually.
Yes, there you go. Tell us about it quick.
It's in Athens, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so in Athens, you're going on stage. What? Tell us about the event.
It's Exotic Generation Greece, and I compete in the flow category, professional, and yeah, let's see.
Have an amazing time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, also for joining.
Bye.
Bye.